At Westbrook High, one new student's quiet struggle against cruel isolation set the stage for a dramatic showdown. Amanda Clark, the undisputed leader, pushed every boundary, convinced her power would always go unquestioned. But destiny had a twist. Jaylina. Brooks carried a strength the bullies never saw coming, and the moment everything changed reverberated across the school. Get ready for a story where justice isn't just hoped for, it finally reigns, in a way nobody expected. Jaylina Brooks stepped out of the car and lifted her backpack, taking in the imposing facade of Westbrook High School. It was her first day, and while her mother smiled encouragingly from the driver's seat, Jaylina felt a mix of apprehension and determination bubble up inside her. The school's wide lawns, busy parking lots, and dense clusters of students all signaled a world she hadn't yet entered, a world where everybody already knew their place. From the moment she walked through the front doors, Jaylina was acutely aware of the way she stood out. She was new, unfamiliar, and the only black girl in her homeroom. She'd moved from Detroit with her mother, hoping for a new beginning after a difficult year, but the unfamiliarity of the crowd made every step feel heavier. Her first encounter with Amanda Clark came only moments after she entered the classroom. Amanda glanced up from her phone, her eyes scanning Jaylina in a way that seemed to measure her for threat and opportunity. Amanda's Group 3 girls, whose laughter often drowned out the hallway, chatter-watched their leader for direction, and soon their glances settled on Jaylina too. Jaylina took a seat in the back, trying to focus on the syllabus that Ms. Reynolds handed out. She heard snickers behind her, the whispered exchange of names and judgments. Amanda leaned closer to her friends. "She's quiet. Maybe she thinks she's too good for us." By lunchtime, the tension had escalated. In the cafeteria, Amanda's group claimed their usual table by the windows, a spot everyone knew to avoid unless invited. Jaylina sat alone at a corner table and pulled out a book. She tried to let the words on the page soothe her, but could feel the weight of gazes on her back. Soon, Amanda walked past her, dropping a crumpled napkin onto Jaylina's lunch tray. "Oops," she said, smiling sweetly, but with a chill in her voice. Jaylina kept her focus steady, refusing to react. She had learned not to let provocation dictate her actions. Not here, not now. This wasn't the first time she'd faced unfriendly stares or passive aggression. She finished her lunch in silence and left the cafeteria with her dignity intact, though her heart pounded harder than she wished. The rest of the day continued with small, intentional gestures. Her locker was found open, and her schedule had mysteriously disappeared from her binder. When she reached her desk in math class, loose sheets of paper were scattered across her seat. Amanda watched from the hallway, her friends snickering beside her. Jaylina gathered her things and sat down, ignoring the urge to return the stare. After school, Jaylina headed straight to the karate academy at the end of Maple Street. The steady repetition of exercises, stretching, striking, holding her form, always helped her regain her sense of control. Her instructor, Mr. Harrison, greeted her with the same quiet nod he gave every student. Here, she wasn't the new girl or an outsider. She was a disciplined athlete, working toward her next belt. With every punch and kick, she channeled the frustration from her day. Mr. Harrison paid extra attention to Jaylina that evening, watching her form with a discerning eye. As she practiced her katas, he approached gently. "Remember, Jay," he said, "strength isn't just about muscle. It's about knowing when to move and when to stand your ground." Jaylina nodded, the words settling inside her. Karate had taught her about balance, discipline, and restraint. She'd learned self-defense not just for her body, but her spirit. When she got home, her mother asked about her day. Jaylina hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "It was nothing I couldn't handle," she replied, masking her vulnerability. Later that night, she sat at her desk, staring at her trophy from last month's karate tournament. She remembered the excitement and pride she had felt, and decided that no matter what happened at school, no one could take away the things she'd worked so hard for. As she drifted to sleep, she resolved to greet the next day with calm determination. Whatever came, she knew she could rely on her own resilience. The quiet hurt might remain, but it would never overpower her sense of purpose. The school, its students, its social rules, even Amanda Clark were just obstacles, and she'd faced tougher ones before. The confidence she carried would be her strength, both visible and unseen. On a chilly Thursday morning, Jaylina felt the familiar weight of apprehension as she entered Westbrook High. The days had passed in a blur of awkward encounters and silent judgments, but recently the atmosphere had thickened. Amanda Clark and her friends seemed intent on tightening the circle, eager to see how far their influence could reach. In every hallway, Jaylina sensed the quiet scrutiny students who looked quickly away, teachers too busy to notice the subtle signals of tension. It started with words, lightly tossed in passing. Amanda would catch Jaylina in the locker row and ask, "Aren't you tired of eating by yourself?" She watched with satisfaction as her friends whispered and snickered. The questions were always coded in politeness, but their edge was unmistakable. Jaylina responded with a quiet, unwavering gaze, but each blow left marks that no one else could see. One afternoon, Amanda orchestrated an elaborate prank during gym class. Jaylina discovered her gym bag soaked and stuffed with shredded notebook pages. Laughter erupted from across the room, and Amanda's friends exchanged triumphant high fives. As Jaylina stood in silence, unwilling to give them the satisfaction of a reaction, her heart tightened. She remembered Mr. Harrison's words about discipline, grappling with a surge of pain and humiliation. Jaylina's resilience began to be tested. In the library, she overheard Amanda telling another student, "She thinks she's better than us because she's so quiet. It's like she doesn't care." Amanda's motivation was clear. Her status depended on maintaining control, and anyone who disrupted the balance had to be reminded of where they belonged. For Amanda, the pursuit was about power, but beneath her confidence was an unspoken insecurity. In her mind, new students risked shifting attention away from her, so Amanda treated Jaylina's quiet dignity as a direct challenge to her authority. Jaylina returned home that night feeling the strain. She hesitated to confide in her mother, choosing instead to pour her emotions into her karate training. The academy became her sanctuary, the routine, her therapy. Here, her mind cleared, and her sense of pride found room to breathe. The escalation continued. The next day, Jaylina's desk was covered in sticky notes with jokes and taunts. Amanda hovered nearby, watching for any sign of vulnerability. Jaylina didn't flinch, but when class ended, she waited until everyone had left to clean the mess, her movements deliberate and silent. Amanda grew bolder as she noticed Jaylina's stoicism. During biology, she posed a question loudly enough for the whole class. "Do you know anything about real fighting, Jaylina? Or do you just practice moves on YouTube?" She smirked, expecting Jaylina to stumble over an answer. Jaylina turned toward her, voice confident yet restrained. "I learned from my instructor," she said quietly. "Some lessons aren't meant for showing off." Amanda didn't hide her irritation. Later, she berated her friends for failing to break Jaylina's composure, saying, "She acts like she's above us. That can't go on." The pressure mounted, and Amanda resolved to manufacture a confrontation that everyone would witness, a moment designed to force Jaylina to react. That Friday, Amanda waited by the cafeteria doors with her group. When Jaylina approached, Amanda intentionally blocked the entrance. "Let's see what you do now," she whispered. Jaylina looked at Amanda, then to the crowd gathering nearby. She took a breath, remembered her training, and walked calmly to another entrance. Amanda's plan fizzled, but the sense of conflict grew sharper in the air. That night, Jaylina couldn't sleep. Images from the week banked up inside her, laughing faces, stinging words, soaked notebooks. She sat by her window and considered her options. Should she confront Amanda, or continue to endure quietly? The pain of each humiliation pressed against her resolve, but behind it, a quiet determination bloomed. If Amanda wanted her to break, Jaylina was willing to show her just how strong she could be. As the weekend began, Jaylina spent extra hours at the Karate Academy, practicing with relentless focus. Every block and kick carried the memory of what she'd faced. Each lesson control, dignity, restraint became a foundation she could stand on, no matter what Amanda planned next. Conflict hung over the school like a storm about to break. Amanda waited, planning her next move, eager for an audience and an opportunity. Jailina prepared in silence, uncertain but resolute. The stage was set for escalation, and both girls sensed that soon everything would change. The tension at Westbrook High reached a peak, suffocating and electric, as the students gathered in the courtyard for lunch. Amanda Clark's group had spent all morning murmuring plans, their eyes flicking toward Jailina Brooks in anticipation. Rumors fluttered through the crowd. Something was about to happen, and everyone wanted to witness it. Amanda felt the pressure of her status and orchestrated each moment, preparing for a confrontation in full view of peers and teachers. Jailina walked with quiet determination, her senses attuned to the charged atmosphere around her. She saw Amanda and her friends standing in her path, forming an unmistakable barrier. The crowd fell silent, spellbound by the tension and the sense that this moment would decide everything. Amanda approached, voice raised to command attention. "So, Jailina, you think you can just ignore us forever?" she asked, her words dripping with challenge. Jailina met Amanda's gaze, refusing to show fear. The lessons from her karate training echoed in her thoughts. Control, composure, restraint. Amanda circled Jailina, gesturing for everyone to watch. "What's wrong, Brooks? Scared to face me?" The onlookers leaned closer, some hoping for drama, others anxious, remembering their own struggles. Amanda's motivation was complex, a mixture of insecurity and the desire to prove her dominance. Tension escalated as Amanda pushed harder, trying to provoke a reaction. She stepped too close, nudged Jailina with her shoulder. Jailina staggered but didn't retaliate. Amanda smirked, convinced she had won. But Jailina stood her ground, breathing steadily. Instead of responding with anger, she recalled Mr. Harrison's teachings. True strength wasn't about aggression. She made a choice. She wouldn't meet cruelty with cruelty. Amanda, unsatisfied, tried to incite action. She hurled more words and pushed again, but this time Jailina respectfully blocked the motion, not with violence but with a controlled, defensive stance. The students around watched in awe at her composure. Amanda attempted one last shove, but Jailina's training activated. She skillfully seized Amanda's wrist, turned gently, and with precise movement, neutralized the confrontation. Amanda landed harmlessly on her feet, surprise and embarrassment swelling inside her. A hush fell over the courtyard. Jailina didn't gloat, didn't escalate. She released Amanda's wrist and softly said, "I protect myself, not hurt others." Amanda's friends were silent, confused by the outcome. Amanda herself stood motionless, caught between indignation and realization. Jailina walked away, her head high not in triumph over Amanda, but in victory over the hostility that had surrounded her. Teachers and students reflected on what they had witnessed, the courage to rise above provocation, and the power that comes from discipline. Whispers of admiration spread. Jailina had demonstrated strength beyond physical skill. For the rest of the day the social balance shifted. Amanda retreated, her confidence unsettled, while others regarded Jailina with newfound respect. Some offered a nod or a smile in passing. Jailina felt a quiet affirmation. She hadn't sought conflict, but in the face of adversity, she revealed the depth of her character. The clouds that had hung over Jailina since she arrived at Westbrook High finally dispersed, making way for a new understanding among her classmates. While Amanda struggled to process the shift in status, Jailina's story became a silent inspiration, proof that dignity and resilience could overcome anything. The air was heavy with anticipation at Westbrook High as lunch break began, the courtyard buzzing with speculation. Word had spread quickly Amanda Clark was planning something, and crowds trickled in, eager for tension, unaware that every step Jailina Brooks took was measured by years of discipline and restraint. Amanda stood in the center, her friends clustered at her back, their expressions a mix of bravado and nervous energy. She watched Jailina approach, her posture composed and her gaze unwavering. Amanda stepped directly in her path, forcing Jailina to stop. The crowd hushed, sensing a confrontation that would break the routine of daily life. Amanda's voice rang out, calculated to draw attention. Do you really think you can just walk away from everything? That nobody's going to put you in your place? Jaylina looked her straight in the eye, searching for the insecurity that always hid behind Amanda's bravado. Amanda pressed forward, raising her voice and gesturing with dramatic flair. Come on, you act so tough, but I bet you wouldn't last a second if someone actually stood up to you. Jaylina didn't flinch. The lessons she carried from her karate academy, the patience, the mastery over her own reactions, held her steady. The crowd drew closer, some watching with sympathetic faces, others intoxicated by the suspense. Amanda reached out, pushing Jaylina's shoulder, trying to tip the balance. Jaylina shifted her stance, letting Amanda's shove pass through her rather than against her, a small, practiced movement that left Amanda off-center and confused. Her friends muttered uneasily. Amanda, undeterred, tried again. But this time Jaylina reacted. Calm, deliberate, not out of anger, but in self-defense. She seized Amanda's wrist and redirected the force without aggression or spectacle, but with precision. Amanda stumbled, surprised by the effortless control. For a moment nobody knew what to say. Amanda regained her footing, cheeks flushed with embarrassment, scanning her audience for support. Jaylina released her wrist, standing tall, her voice low but audible. I don't want to fight. I just want you to stop. Amanda struggled to reply, her confidence shaken, the crowd's loyalty uncertain. Some students shifted uncomfortably, realizing the spectacle hadn't gone as planned. Others exchanged looks of respect, impressed by Jaylina's restraint. A teacher stepped into the circle, breaking the tension. Jaylina calmly explained what happened, her clarity diffusing any threat of escalation. Amanda lowered her eyes, caught off guard by Jaylina's poise and dignity. As the crowd dispersed, Jaylina felt a surge of quiet triumph. She'd confronted the moment without losing her integrity, showing that real power lay in control, not confrontation. Amanda's clique retreated, and whispers of the event flitted through the halls. Jaylina had not only defended herself but changed the narrative, proving that self-respect could transform the aftermath of cruelty. For the rest of the week, classmates greeted her differently. The hostility faded, replaced by cautious curiosity and admiration. Through every moment, Jaylina's discipline had been her greatest strength. The story, passed from student to student, became an emblem of resilience for anyone facing adversity. Jaylina walked home that evening, knowing she had won something more valuable than reputation. She had reclaimed her place and inspired others to believe in their own strength. As autumn turned to winter at Westbrook High, subtle shifts echoed through its halls, shaped by the confrontation in the courtyard. Jaylina Brooks walked to school with a new steadiness, no longer shadowed by isolation. The memory of her decisive, dignified response lingered with classmates, quietly inspiring many. Some who had watched from the sidelines approached her, sharing soft words of encouragement or a nod of respect. For Jaylina, every small gesture was a sign. Her strength had changed more than just her own experience. It had transformed the way others saw possibility. Amanda Clark found herself in unfamiliar territory. The confidence she once drew from leading her friends began to crack as reflection crept in. The aftermath forced Amanda to observe what her behavior had sown. Not just the silence from her group, but a quiet disapproval from peers who once sought her approval. Amanda struggled with a guilt she wasn't ready to admit, and a curiosity about Jaylina's resolve. She wondered how someone she viewed as different could remain so steady in the face of adversity. One morning, Amanda approached Jaylina in the library for the first time without her entourage. Her words, quieter than usual, broke through the unspoken tension. "I didn't expect you to fight back," Amanda said, voice wavering. "I want to understand why you didn't get angry." Jaylina closed her book and met Amanda's gaze with calm honesty. "I've seen anger before. It doesn't fix anything. What matters is showing who you are, even when others try to shake you." Amanda listened, her own walls eroding. It was the beginning of a conversation that, for the first time, wasn't rooted in conflict. Jaylina's perspective forced Amanda to weigh her actions, to understand that respect could be given, not just taken. As weeks passed, teachers noticed a change in classroom dynamics. The tension that once filled the air lifted, replaced by cautious trust and curiosity. Students, having witnessed Jailina's integrity, spoke more openly about their own challenges. The administration introduced empathy-based workshops, using stories of resilience to help build understanding and unity among students. Jailina's story became an example, not just of defending herself, but of defending dignity for all. The year moved forward, and Jailina thrived not as someone defined by her ordeal, but as a presence who inspired others to seek respect and compassion. She excelled in her studies and grew as a martial artist. Amanda, meanwhile, learned to listen more and judge less, her own journey of change just beginning. Jailina sometimes reflected on those difficult first weeks, the loneliness, the uncertainty, each moment that tested her resolve. What she found, above all, was that her greatest victory wasn't just standing her ground, but helping others see that everyone deserves respect, and that even small acts of courage can ripple outward and make a lasting difference. The school grew kinder, and as spring approached, Jailina realized she had sparked a movement not of confrontation, but of inclusion and resilience. Her story was retold in school assemblies, not as a tale of defeat or victory over an adversary, but as an illustration of a simple truth. Strength, when guided by dignity, can heal more than wounds. It can change hearts.